Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to put a link to a video that was on YouTube of somebody being Baker acted. So if you've ever wondered what it looks like, this is it. And I think I've shared on numerous occasions that I had a family member that was Baker acted and I was there when it went down. But this is an interesting video, and it's only a short one. It looks like the camera that one of the officers was wearing, and apparently this individual is running for governor in the state of Florida. I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him, but so be it. Now it looks like, from what I can see, law enforcement must have been called to the residence, and you'll see how law enforcement, get this individual to go to his knees and they handcuff him. Now, the good news was that it appears to be relatively calm. The police were calm, the individual was calm, and things didn't get out of control. Sometimes they do. This is a good example of law enforcement. I think they did a great job. But I've talked before about, there's two ways the state can take custody of you. One, through the criminal justice system, and two, through the mental health system. The police, law enforcement, are agents of both the criminal justice system, because they can arrest you, right, for a crime or an alleged crime. The police are also agents of the state's mental health system. See, the police are authorized to Baker Act you too, and the two sometimes look very similar. Now, if you watch this video and you turn the volume down, you'd think this guy was being arrested, right? You'd think he was being arrested. So sometimes the process can look very, very similar, right? Law enforcement are called, they handcuff the person, they put him in the back of a police car, which you'll see in the video, and they're taken into custody. Now, it's tough to tell what preceded the police getting the call, but this individual talks about, he doesn't want to die, or I think he also mentions his father threatened to kill him or tried to kill him. I don't remember the exact words, but you can watch the video for yourself. It's very, very short. But I think this will give you an idea of what it's like when someone gets Baker acted. The bad news, I guess, if there's bad news, is that typically things can and do go downhill after the fact, right? Because once the police detain you under the Baker Act and then they take you to a receiving facility, guess what happens, right? The police go back about their business. They go do what they got to do. They get called to different, incidents and things of that nature, and nobody is watching, right? The police don't call the Baker Act facility and say, hey, what's going on here? In fact, I've had families that called the police after the fact and said, my loved one's being illegally detained. You know what the police said? Nothing we could do. Nothing we can do, right? If you get arrested and taken to the county jail and then you call 911, what are the police going to say? Nothing we can do. Go see the judge. Well, in a criminal case, you automatically get to see a judge within 24 hours of being arrested, unless you bonded out of the county jail. Well, in the Baker Act situation, there's no automatic right to see a judge. Think about that. How crazy is that? You've been arrested, you get to see a judge. You haven't been arrested. In fact, no one's accused you of doing anything wrong. You don't get to see a judge. That's where we come in, right? We make sure that you get to see the judge, right? That you get due process, that your constitutional and statutory rights are protected, because nobody knows that you're there. Nobody knows that your loved one is there after the police take them, which is why, if you've watched any of my videos about the Baker Act, I am adamant about fighting like hell to get out of the facility, the Baker Act facility, as soon as you possibly can, even if it's a good Baker Act, because in my experience, people do not get better in Baker Act facilities. And not only that, if you have a loved one who's at a facility, shouldn't it be you that makes the decisions about their medical and mental health well-being? Shouldn't it be you, the family, that makes the decisions as to where they go to treatment? Not the state, not some doctor in a Baker Act facility who's only motivated by making money for the Baker Act facility and who doesn't even know your loved one, and most of the time doesn't care to know your loved one. Shouldn't it be you? That's where we come in. So if you want to have a conversation about how we can help your loved one who's been Baker acted, we'd like to talk to you. And we get these calls all day long where people are calling after the fact to sue. As a general rule, you cannot sue for this. You can't sue the cops. You can't sue the Baker Act facility, right? It's because they have immunity, sovereign immunity. It's right there in the Baker Act statute. I wish I could tell you that I can get you money after the fact. If I could, I'd be retired years ago, living on some beautiful island, drinking pina coladas. The reason I'm not living on a beautiful island drinking pina coladas is you cannot sue for this, as a general rule, right? There are exceptions to that, but That's a different video for another day. My point is, you should fight to get your loved one out as soon as they get taken, right? Because there are alternatives to being stuck in a Baker Act facility. Anyway, with that said, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. Have you had a loved one Baker Acted? Have you been Baker Acted? What was your experience? And if there's an issue that's going on in your family and I haven't made a video about it, let me know. I'll make you a video if you post in the comments. Because if it's affecting your family, man, there's a good chance it's affecting somebody else's. And these videos are about giving you the information that you need, right? So you can decide if you want to call us and have a discussion. And if you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want more of this content that I make for you every single day, please subscribe to the channel. And with that said, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.